Ernestine Lyons.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Ernestine Lyons, and I am a former city councilwoman in the city of Harper Woods. And I have known Mr. Otis since we worked together at the city of Detroit, and we were part of the Millennial Roundtable that Councilman Roy McAllister was a champion of. And I am hoping to continue to be the voice of, encouraging young folks to be engaged in the political process and to be involved. And although I ran a race for mayor of Harper Woods and lost, and that took me out of the game politically, I still want to make sure that by becoming precinct delegates and things, that we can all remain engaged with politics and giving our voices to matters that are important to the Metro Detroit community. Thank you.
And good afternoon. My name is Danielle Hall, and I am the precinct delegate for 257. I too ran for state representative. It was unfortunate, did not make it to the general. However, I still believe in staying civically engaged for my generation and the generation to come.
Steele Hughes, precinct delegate, excited to be here.
My name is Miles Miller. Been a part of this Millennial Roundtable since I was a staffer for the Honorable Councilmember Roy McAllister Jr. I too recently ran a race for a state representative. Didn't win, but we didn't lose either because we were able to make some ground where we'll be back. And I think that's one of the most important things is whether or not you win or lose, it doesn't matter as long as you gain something that you can bring back to the community. And so we're still here as the Millennial Roundtable, bringing as much as we can to our community to assist them in living life of their dreams.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chastity Youngblood. I am a Wayne County Assistant Prosecuting Attorney. I have been with the Prosecutor's Office for over 12 years now. The bulk of my time there was spent doing felony trials at Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, and I am currently in the Conviction Integrity Unit. And what I do now is I use my trial experience to reinvestigate cases of individuals who have already been convicted but maintain that they're innocent. And once I do my investigation, my team gives a recommendation to Prosecutor Kim Worthy about whether or not we believe someone has been wrongfully convicted and make a recommendation for exoneration, new trial, or some form of grant of relief.
My name is Matthew Johnson. Recently ran for Wayne County Commissioner District 2. Unfortunately, I wasn't successful in the primary, but I will be back in 2024. I'm a lifelong resident of the district that I've decided to represent. I've been in both the public and private sector as a representative of union, both UAW and AFSCME for the last 15 years. And I decided to step away and take a chance in politics, see what it's really about. I hear about a lot of people that are my age around me that don't really know the ins and outs of politics, and it's my objective to bring some sort of understanding to them and make sure that their voices are heard in the upcoming elections. Thank you.
All right, we have one other person. You gonna introduce yourself?
Everybody already know who I am. It's not split. Good evening. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Henrietta Ivy. I am a community activist, organizer, precinct delegate for precinct 286, new business owner in the city of Detroit, and an honorary millennial panelist with everyone today. So thank you so much for coming out. Look forward to everyone giving some feedback and some suggestions on the topic we have today.
We have one other person in the back. I don't know if she wants to introduce herself or not, but she makes sure that we keep this thing going afloat. She takes care of us very well. This is a Millennial Roundtable mother, auntie, homie, best friend. Ms. Coleman, you want to have a few words? Well, that's Ms. Coleman, everybody back there. Please give her a round of applause. She puts up our stuff. right, so with that being said, again, my name is Andrew Otis. I previously ran for a seat of Wayne County Commissioner myself. Precinct delegate formerly at 436, now I'm at 386. Again, this has been something that we've been doing for quite some time, trying to get younger people involved, trying to make sure that we have a voice at the table. I do want to let everybody know that this upcoming year, I will be working with the Michigan Democratic Party to start the Millennial Leadership Caucus. So that way we make sure we have a voice moving forward and to work with other caucuses to make sure that we're all in alignment with each other. With me saying that, I want to look into the crowd and see if I have any elected officials or candidates here. This is your time to speak, if so. So, anybody? I see a few of y'all. Ladies first. I'll call you up.
Good afternoon.
We got a mic coming different.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Good afternoon. I am Wayne County Commissioner Monique Baker McCormick. I represent District 6, which the college is in, so I wanted to make sure that I was here. I am very interested in the next generation of leaders. Otis goes back to me helping with the Young Democrats, and I will continue to do my part to reach back. I started the Wayne County Commission Youth Council about 4 years ago. This is a high school group of students, 10th through 12th grade. We have a trip planned to Lansing for our Advocacy Day to ensure that we get some gun reform because of all of the violence in our neighborhoods and in our country. In addition, I am starting a organization that focuses on elected leadership, molding elected leadership, ensuring that you know what you need to do from the filing deadline all the way through preparing to run is so vitally important. And what we find is a lot of the candidates that get in a race just jump in. You have to plan it out. You have to understand why you're running. That's the first part. And then you have to get in the right race at the right time. Those things are all important. And so in November, you'll hear more about it, but we're focusing on helping you to run and win. Helping you to run and win. Again, I'm Wayne County Commissioner Monique Baker McCormick, so feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dennis Bryant. I was elected to Community Advisory Council in City Council District 4, which pertains to the majority of the east side. And what we do as a Community Advisory Council, we listen to the concerns from the people in the community in District 4 and let our councilwoman know what the residents' concerns are, and the councilwoman will handle those concerns. Thank you.
Right. Chief Williams over there. Oh.
Good afternoon. My name is Keith Williams. I'm the chairman of the Michigan Democratic Party Black Caucus. I'm a former Wayne County Commissioner. I served as the vice chair of the Wayne County Commissioner from 2004 to 2010. I commend you guys for doing what you're doing, trying to bring the millennials together. But it ain't gonna work until you bring some older folks with you. So I just want to throw that out. But more important, our focus is politics and economics. You cannot do politics without economics. And we led, last year, November, we led the reparations fight and was successful. It got on the ballot and passed it. Now we're in the next phase of it. Focus on economics because economics drives politics. And if you don't get an economic message, people gravitate to you. Everybody will come up and say they know all how to get people to vote. You gotta have a message, but more importantly, you gotta be in the community. You gotta be great storytellers. You can't tell a story, you're not gonna get elected. That's my little spiel. I'm here to support you, anything I can do. And my thing is, I don't spend too much time with the Democratic Party. You know, I'm in the Democratic Party, but I drive my own agenda. I don't let them drive my agenda for me. Simple as that. God bless everybody.
Anybody else work with any elected officials?
Hi everybody, my name is Kia.
You want the mic?
Yes. Sorry. Hi everybody, my name is Kia. I'm a global business solution analyst for General Motors, but I'm also a senior level campaign organizer for Register Her. I'm a part of Black Women Win Michigan, which two of the lovely ladies on this panel is a part of. And first and most importantly, I'm a mother, and this is my daughter, Kimora, and she is my wife. She's the reason why I'm here today. I'm here because I want to support these ladies, but also for her to understand the importance of being involved. And this meeting is everything for me because, like, when I was growing up, my granddad used to take me to school board meetings, and I would wait just to get McDonald's, but I understand the importance now. And so thank you for having us, and I'm glad to be here.
You know what? Just we go around. You sure? So one other person just walked in who's working with Donovan McKinney. You want to have a couple of words for?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jerome Record. I'm currently the campaign manager for Donovan McKinney, individual who just won State House 14, used to be the former State House District 3. It's east side of Detroit, Macomb County, Southern Warren, going up to Sterling Heights. I'm also campaign manager for Dr. Iris Taylor, who's also running for school board this term as well. I currently work as the government affairs manager for Comcast. Wayne County, Macomb County, and St. Clair County are my territories. I come to you guys by way of city council. I was the at-large community liaison for at-large council member Janae Ayers for the past 6 years until November. I'm happy to be here. I was invited here by Yandra. Just finished an event with Comcast and Bishop Ellis doing a digital divide event from 9 to 2. So I came right over just to pop in, say hello, and be supportive of me any way that I can. So thank you all for having this event.
Thank you all so much. Anybody else want to introduce themselves? Matt, let's go over here.
Good afternoon, fellow patriots. My name is Les Little. I have an internet radio show that I broadcast every Tuesday, going on my 7th year now, called The Vote Is Our Voice Internet Radio Show on my own network. It's 910 AM Talk, but it's the internet radio program. I have worked with groups like the National Action Network. I was executive secretary and on the executive board. I'm a lifelong member of Good Research. Worked with groups Keep the Vote, Don't Take Over. When 20 years ago, they came in and brought the emergency, introduced us to the emergency manager law. I fought that. And also the co-director of Call Them Out, if anybody heard Call Them Out. I was working to Call Them Out. So I've been a politically active man since back in high school. When we marched out of Cooley High School to get African American studies in it. So I just wanted to come to support the younger generation. I just turned 69, just in case y'all think I'm a millennial bunch. And just to support you with anything I can do on my next broadcast, just let me know.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Little. Anybody else? All right, thank you all so much for being here again. This is Millennial Roundtable. I do want to make it known that this is a bridge the gap kind of organization, kind of committee. We all need each other, but as of right now, we all need to make sure that us as millennials are moving forward with progress. Nothing standing still. We all need to work together. With that being said, I want to bring up Ms. Henrietta Ivy. She's very, very staunch on voter engagement. She does a lot to make sure that people are involved. She does have her own home care business and does this, does that, does so much. I'll let her explain it. But without me speaking any further, I will give it for Ms. Ivy. Ladies and gentlemen, please give her a hand. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And as he said, I am a voter engager as well. I train and teach citizens the importance of voting, how to vote, and to do their research before they choose their candidates. During the last 2.5 years of COVID, I haven't been able to really get out there and push it like I had pushed it in the last 4 years when I first started. But we are ramping back up to get people involved, talking more in the community, hearing the stories of the issues that are important to our citizens, and keeping them encouraged on voting and why it's important for this generation, which is the millennial generation, bridging the Generation my generation, Generation X, or Generation G, whatever they want to call it, but my generation, which is the 60s, bridging it in with the newer millennials. So what I do is to talk to people about the importance of voting. Engagement meaning that we want to engage as leaders in our communities. We need to be out speaking with the community. In order to find out what your community needs, you have to be out there as a leader engaging and talking to the people. You must know their issue. Sitting in a leadership position is not going to help you if you're not talking to the people. Let me be very clear on that. I do this every day, damn near 7 days a week, talking to people all over the city of Detroit and all over the state of Michigan. I hear their issues. I know what it is that they want, and I know what it is that they're not getting. So when you're talking about engaging your community, as a leader, you need to be out there in your community. You cannot engage your voters sitting behind a desk. You cannot do it. You will not understand the issues of the people of the community unless you're out there talking to them. That's called strong voter engagement. You want your voters to know who you are, what you do, why you're doing it, and what can they do for you to make your communities move and grow and move forward. That's what I did. If you're not out there talking to them, I'm out there talking to them. I'm letting them know exactly what's going on behind these doors, and I'm letting them know that their issues are important. And I also engage them on making sure that if you're not going to be a good leader, use your power, which is your vote. I'm strongly engaged about that. I will not no longer sit back and watch leadership anywhere across the state of Michigan not do their job. I will inform the community. I'm saying it now, so those of you who know me, you know me. If you don't know me, you will get to know me. I will mobilize the community strongly. That's called voter engagement. They must know who's in their corner and who's not in their corner. We must know what their issues are so we can help fix those issues as leaders, as leadership, and as politicians. So that's one of the things that I do. On top of pushing agendas for home care workers, I'm a strong home care advocate. I believe that there are new legislative laws that need to be put in place to help caregivers who do this work have stronger, deeper backgrounds when it comes to having their voices heard. They need to find, our leadership needs to know what we do behind closed doors and what they can do to assist us. The talk is over. We want action now. And so when I'm out there engaging my community every day, we talk action. And if we don't see action, we will find a way to put people in place that will put the action into place. This panel of young people, all of them running for these seats this past primary, should have been in office. Let me be clear. They should have been in office. There's no doubt about it. When we talk about leadership, when we talk about passing the torch, when we're talking about bringing the change in our community, some things just wear out. And if we don't put new leadership, new blood, new ideas in place, then we are not going to move our black communities. Let's be real clear on that. So when these people, when these young people were out voting, we should have had some leaders pushing them, taking them to the next level. I don't want to hear no more about wait your turn. I don't want to hear no more about you're not supposed to be there. That shit has to stop. It has to stop. We will not let our black communities move anything forward with old news. Old news don't work for new generations. It don't. And I'm not scared to say it. We're looking at a panel of strong, black, young, engaged, fire that could have brought some real change to our communities, and we let them slip through the cracks. Why? It shouldn't have happened. So I am going to do my part and make sure that they get those seats the next time. I trust and believe me on that. So we want to move our communities forward. We need to be engaged. We need to be empowered. We need to talk to our people every single day. This is what they look forward to. They put us in these positions for us to represent them. Strongly, not lightly. If we want to support and do anything for our people, for our younger generation, we got to start pushing them through these seats. We have to know when our time is up. Seriously, we have to know as leaders of the past when our time is up. It's not to say you can't do more and still be involved, but we have to open up the door to new leadership so they can get a chance to move their generation. We can't move their generation. They have to move their generation. We've moved ours. But we can be involved in helping them push and move their generation and our communities moving forward. So I stand here before you today to let you know that I am a very strong community engager. I talk to people again every single day. I hear the stories. I know the storytellers, and I do storytelling. So I had to, say that in all honesty, we have to do better if we want our communities to be better. Also, I just spoke with one of our speakers, which is BPD Sergeant Karen Boudreaux. She does apologize that she will not be able to make it to come in and speak with the panel in the audience today, as she was called in to her duty as a sergeant. She's my beautiful daughter. I'm very proud to say I raised a strong black woman. She's on the move, and she did say she will be here in attendance to the next meeting, which is next month. So I wanted to kind of let you guys know that, because I know her name is on the agenda, but she's not going to be able to make it to this particular roundtable today. So with that being said, I'll end it with our voice is our power, our community is our strength, unity, community, vote. And the only way we can do that is to be engaged with our community 100%. Thank you.
All right. We all know what you said. I don't have to say much. With that being said, I want to bring up a good friend of mine, brother in the Lord. He's out doing some big things himself, and he wants to come and talk about an item we really need to look at, but then bring us into our conversation on today. So, Brother Hughes, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. So last month, what we were able to speak about was why don't we vote? So today, what we're going to try to move the needle a little bit forward and discuss why do we in this room consider voting to be important? Before we get into that type of conversation, when we talk about voting, we talk about getting engaged, whether it's as a community leader, a precinct or elected official. One thing that we have to do is the one thing to get engaged in election season. It's another thing to stay engaged while the process is playing its way out. So the conversation I'm going to bring forth, and I would love for it to be a dialogue between not only the panelists, but also the audience as well. Right now in the city of Detroit, there's an issue on the floor. You see on the news, you hear interviews from city council to the mayor's office. There's this new technology that's being pushed called Shotspotter. Brother Otis opened up with saying, in the area of 7 Mile and Myers, where this, you don't know much about his mental status, but we can say he was going through some tough mental times, going on a shooting spree in our community. And it's a heavy fact that if technology was around that could identify gunshots, not just people calling 911, that 2 victims could have been saved. So we talk about why we vote. Now that we voted and we have a mayor, we have city council, now it's our responsibility to hold them accountable, more importantly, our voices be heard. So this Tuesday at 10 a.m., I have all the information if anybody wants to join on. The city council will vote on this new technology, on this Shotspotter. And the technology is audio. It's audio that's triggered by the sounds of gunshots, and when that sound is picked up, what will happen is a report, an alert, or a call will go out to that local precinct, and they will respond to the vicinity of those shots being heard. It's a major controversy. People are up and down on it because they look at it as surveillance in urban communities. So I just wanted to engage those who are open about what are your thoughts on Shotspotter. If you have any questions, I'm pretty knowledgeable on it. I'm sure there's a young man in the back that's pretty knowledgeable on it that will be able to hopefully answer questions. But it's important, because once you cast your vote, this is something that City Council, those that we voted for, will vote for. That will affect our entire community on Tuesday. And we have the opportunity to call in or show up in person and engage and let your voice, your opinion be heard, and then ultimately influence what that vote's going to be and can alter the city. So it's one thing to talk about voting on election day, it's another thing to hold those accountable and stay connected to the process along the way. So I just wanted to introduce that topic. If anyone, I have a personality, I'm either in control or I'm passive, so I don't want to just go on, but I just want to introduce that as a topic, pass it over to the host, Mr. Otis, and then we can facilitate that conversation.
So let's remain on that topic. The whole Shotspotter thing. Again, as I stated, when this incident jumped off, it was right down the street from me. What would have happened had we had something to be able to save other lives? And that's, kind of the line I'm talking on right now. We all know that we have an unfortunate situation going on in our city as far as gun violence goes. Let's be clear. This is a part of mental health, but guess what? Nobody's addressed it up to this point thus far. So with that being said, we have to use the tools that we have at our disposal to be able to stop some of these crimes, but at the same time, work to try to make sure mental illness starts getting the attention that it has. So I hate to say it, but it is what it is, but I'm for it. Somehow, some way, we have to get our city back to where we need it to be. And I don't really know how anybody could say hearing some gunshots and surveillance, but we got people who's gonna say what they want to. That's against certain things. But when it comes to having children and making sure my children are safe at night, making sure I'm safe when I leave out my house, I'm for it. So, got a hand, got two.
I kind of just got a question. Does anybody have any of the narrative from the folks in the community that are against it?
Yes.
Because I have my own thoughts and things behind it, but I have yet to bump into a resident that can give a sound dialogue as to why they are against it. I just hear that there are people against it. I haven't had the opportunity to talk to one. So what are some of the key things that they're bringing up that they're not for this?
Before I speak, if anybody else on the panel wants to share, I can follow up. Anyway.
With my engagement, one of the things, or two of the things, that people are saying their concerns about is that can the city afford it? And they feel that, quite frankly, right now, our financial situation is not the best where we should be spending money on that type of technology. And then the other one
support of this, but we had Councilmember Santiago Romero, who was, staunchly against this, and I think that, just her understanding her community and a lot of the concerns there, it stemmed from this sense of marginalized communities being abused. And historically, you have had police forces that will use this to profile and, inaccurately do criminal profiling, and, so many people who have historically been, oh, you fit the profile, oh, you're a young black male out at night, and, this is something that could lead to a lot of discrimination and, biases, and I think that's some of what, to your point, the question of who could possibly be against this, because to me, it sounds like it would be a great plan to, at least, be able to follow and have a lead that can allow for arrest and to keep, guns and violence in check. But I think those are some of the voices and perspectives. People think that there's going to be a lot of discrimination, and then the surveillance element that Ms. Hall brought up as well.
Can I jump in for a second, just to go off of what Ernestine said? I think that there is also a risk, and I'm not sure where I fall on the line yet. I need to do my own research, but I do think that one of the major concerns is that in these urban communities where these Shotspotters would be placed, we do have the risk of false alarms, which means that we have more police presence really for no reason possibly, and that's going to lead to a lot more stops, frisks, and pat-downs of residents in those areas, with the police using the pretense of hearing shots fired in the area, using more of that as a reason to stop individuals and investigate them. So I think that is a concern of citizens as well.
All right, we got a couple of comments from the audience. We're going to start here.
So this was my first time hearing about it, so I do want to, like Jasmine said, do some more research on it. But as a person that works in analytics, there can be a lot of profiling associated with something like that. And for me, it's like we're really just we're putting the Band-Aid over it, but the real issue is what's going on in these communities is causing gun violence. What's going on with people that feel like they have to resort to it? Are we providing the right and accurate resources that are providing a space for people to come and talk about mental health? And that's the thing that we really need to get down to, because we're not connecting with citizens enough to know what the real issues are, and we're just looking at the gun violence and not looking at the reason behind the gun violence.
Got one more.
I'm in law enforcement. I work for the sheriff's department. Okay. Many of the brothers in my age group, we remember the Big Four. Remember the Big Four? Back in the day? They were dangerous folks. But let's think about this. We're 85% black city. Two of the most sheriff is the most important law enforcement person in Wayne County. We got a black police chief. The racism, I don't get that, but there's more ways to skin a cat. You got seniors that live in this community. They want to be safe. I go to precinct meetings. I talk to them. Narcotics and all that other stuff. So I'm for it, but I'm also, I want to make sure that everything is in place where people don't get profiled and those things like that. But brothers and sisters, we got too much crime in the city. Okay, and we got to be real about this. Brothers don't want to go to school. I heard a figure the other day. Wayne State got 1,000 black men in school enrolled at Wayne State right now. 2,500 sisters. Something is wrong, okay? And so something's got to change. And we're going to change this crime in the city of Detroit. It's about economics. That's why people do what they do, because of economics and lack of education. So I'm for that protection, but I'm also want to make sure that nobody gets profiled. But guess what? We got two black in power, the police chief and the Wayne County sheriff. And I don't think, and then you got Kim Worthy, you got a black prosecutor. I think we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Okay, but we just got to believe in each other.
I want to piggyback and just kind of hit some of the points
first off, we have to address the mental health issue. That's going to mitigate, a lot of these issues that we see going on in the community. Guns don't kill people. People with guns kill people, right? The gun needs the human interaction for it to go off and fire. So you have a lot of individuals walking around chemically imbalanced, don't have a strong emotional IQ, communication is lacking, so no one is able to even articulate the containers feelings that they're having inside and don't know how that's being manifested to a negative aspect in our community. And that's what we're contending with. That's ultimately what we're talking about. So we have to, until that's addressed, that's on the shelf, But to go back to the Shotspotter, I live in 48234, which borders 48205, which is the infamous, 05 zip code. It's a nationally recognized zip code, one of the most violent zip codes from an FBI poll in the United States of America. And I also, prior to starting this new position with Comcast, which I started Thursday, so I'm leaving Detroit Employment Solutions Corp., which is Detroit at Work, which is Michigan Works, right? And I work within the gun diversion violence prevention program. This is a spinoff of the mayor's ceasefire initiative, which is the only initiative in the United States that allows the police to go to a known shooter and say, hi, we know who you are, we know how you get money, and we know your crew. You have an opportunity to call this number and get into our gun diversion violence prevention program, or the entire force of this room is coming out on you and your crew. That's what ceasefire is. Those individuals get referred into my program. I have a total of 268 participants, 38 are in my caseload. There's 3 other case managers. You only get in my program if you're an active shooter or a victim of gun violence, i.e., you shoot or you've been shot up. That's how you get in our program. You can't walk in, you have to either be live, which means you're verified by the 9th precinct and 8th precinct as a problem. I have 4 gangs that predominantly make up my caseload. SMBs, 7 Mile Bloods, 4-2s, 6 Mile Bloods, and East Warren crews. There's a battle going on right now on the east side that's 30 years old because you shot my cousin, I shot you, he shot me, he shot him. 30 years till Friday. 2 4-2 girls hustling, making dinners, was called to an East Warren community to deliver food. When they got there, East Warren guys shot these 2 4-2 girls up. So my department was up with Ray Lyons to 6 in the morning, talking to our guys about not retaliating for the East Warren guys killing one of their sisters and another civilian that was helping her. This is what's going on. I know for a fact, guys in my program are not shooting in the east side because Shotspotter works. Ray White was involved in 2 scenarios where gunshots went off and DPD pulled up. So now there's a conversation in my community that Shotspotters work. So don't be outside, because you're going to make the block hot and they're going to pull up. That's an actual conversation. I live, again, in 48234. I've been there since 92. So I didn't take my resources and pay scale and move out of the city. I keep it gritty. I'm raising 5 kids on the east side of Detroit right now. Second marriage, kids are in the house. I have an invested interest in my community. I want to feel safe like everybody else does on my block, and just like everyone else on the other side of 8 Mile. I'm taking the resources that I've learned and I'm applying them in my own
yard where they're needed. And I have the credibility because I'm one of the few who did not leave. I could have left and still can leave. I'm staying in the city where I'm around like-minded individuals that look like me, and I can also be the interpreter of the other folks that I live around who don't know better. Because if you know better, you can do better. Most folks don't know any better, so they can't do any better. Because we're also in the third, fourth generation of an independent woman. The man ain't at the crib, the lady's at the house, she's a man and a woman, and she working 3 jobs, and the kids are rearing themselves. That's what we're also continuing with. So there's a breakdown in the household structure, there's a breakdown in communication. So now we gotta do a little bit of extra work as grassroots activists, as nonprofits, and block clubs to actually go home with the folks in our community and help fill in those gaps. Not necessarily swell them up, but help provide some little resources in between so that the day-to-day grind isn't as hard on everybody. Alleviate some of that stress. Put yourself in a position to have some dialogue with the folks in the community so that we can start to turn that light bulb on and show that there's other avenues other than what they've seen. That's all it is at the end of the day. I'm in support of the Shotspotter because I live in an impacted area and it works. I'm hearing it from the actual shooters. 9th Precinct is down because we have 20 to 30 guys on 7 Mile and Gratiot, but they're not in the street. I can clearly point to 7 people that are alive because of this program that I'm in. Because the guys are on 7 Mile and Gratiot or Ray Lyons who've been getting services, wraparound services, and whatever type of mental health and whatever resources that they need, but they're not in the street. There's still violence going on, but I can only imagine what it would be like if I didn't have the guys up at the Wild Center doing something positive and not being in the street. Now understand, it's still a process because these guys are coming to the Wild Center every day strapped up, and it's just weird. It's like going to an AA meeting and everyone's bringing a bottle. You know, we're in a gun diversion program, but everybody up here has got a cross bag on, and you can see handles hanging out. But we can't tell them you can't bring it when they gotta walk through 4-2 territory to get there. When we do training at the Samaritan Center across from East Warren where all the ops are, so we're buying face masks so our guys aren't being shot at going to training after they decided to call that number and live a different lifestyle now. These are the things that we're dealing with on the ground that's real right now. Shotspotter helps with that. Virtual technology helps with that. Do y'all understand if we don't have the technology, you have a human being that's a sketch artist to help you find the person that hurt your loved one? I'm gonna take my chance with the technology versus a stressed out, overworked, and underappreciated individual that's gotta do a sketch artist for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 10, 20 people every day. How many people you think he gonna get wrong in that process? Tired, overworked, don't tell him he's dealing with or she's dealing with in her own personal life. Let a computer do that. You're gonna have some issues either way it goes. And I guarantee you we have more issues from an individual sketching what you thought you saw in a crime scene versus us being able to verify a picture. Shotspotter collects the sounds. It's not firecrackers, it's gunshots. So they're not pulling up unless it's gunshots. You can't misappropriate gunshots with this technology. So there's no one going to misprofile you at your house if you're not shooting. If you're not shooting, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. You shouldn't go outside and let some off into the air because you're feeling pissed off about something. Because understand, in our district, DPD's going to pull up. We had a scenario, 16 Shotspotter calls called in one weekend. The Shotspotter called. Guess how many people called the 9th Precinct to report the gun shootings? None. Shotspotter report shows 16 shootouts, not ... mean, my children, 4, 5, 6, 4 and 6, are used to hearing gunshots in the community. When they hear it, oh no, those are firecrackers. Oh, those was real gunshots. This is what the 4 and 6-year-old can identify. That's not good. That's not normal at all. Me and my wife feel that that's just an acceptable form of trauma that we don't care what our children have, you know, at the end of the day, because the world isn't perfect, it isn't all suburban. So we keep it Detroit and keep it gritty so that our kids can have that little bit of grit when they get out here to the world. It makes them more competitive against other individuals. We don't forget to give the kids what we did have, but we're also giving them what we didn't have.
Can I interject for a second? Can you leave some of your information with us today? Because we would like to find out more about your program. It sounds like you have some success to it, and I really would like to know, and I believe the rest of the panel would like to know more about Ceasefire.
Sure.
Thank you.
My brother brought up a lot of great points, and I agree with him. I was involved last year with an effort with Force Detroit to bring awareness around gun violence and violence in the community. And that was a successful campaign that brought together like Ceasefire and Ray Lyons and different people that are doing the work on the ground. And I was able to organize peace walks, not even in my district. I was over in District, I live in District 1, I was over in District 2, District 7, on the ground, talking to people, meeting people where they were. And I think understanding gun violence, that it's more than just the police issue. It's gonna take all of us. Like, I was able to use my connections with elected officials and have them on the walks to see at night. We started when the sun went down to actually walk the community and see in hot areas what's going on. To use that, and we were able to also get ARPA funding moved to the public health budget to address some of the mental health challenges, the resources that people might need to support organizations like D-Live and Ceasefire to really play these people, like men that have been impacted by the system, to be the peacemakers within the community and prop them up to be in position to have the resources. Guys, you know, like Ray Ryan, that can respond to a situation in the community working with the police. Like, I think Shotspotter is one tool, but we have to really look at the root causes of why this stuff is happening. Jobs, it's connected. Education, like all those things. And I think we have to be cognizant of that when we vote on stuff like this. You know, it's important, but we also have to do the other work that's required to bring people together. And I talk to people across the country. People are looking at our models for, like you mentioned, Mayor Douglas, like the plan, like that. People across the country are looking at Detroit and seeing how we respond to issues. We don't lack the talent. We don't lack the ideas. We don't lack any of that. What we lack is the unity. We have all these different groups working in silos. We have all these people that, what is city council going to do? What is the police going to do? No, what are you going to do? And I think when we change that, we're going to lead the nation in healing our communities. And it's going to take us working together to do that.
Just jump back to the panel real quick. I know some of y'all got some stuff y'all want to say that we're going to go back up here. So,
You know, he's absolutely right. When people from different cities and states, they're literally looking and watching us and the amount of violence that we have in Detroit. And it was amazing to me how quick folks are to judge us. I got a chance to talk to, what is his name, the hungry guy, the guy that does the food, the hungry man, and the hungry black man, and I was just really baffled because for once I hadn't saw my city in the eye of somebody else. One of the things that he said with Detroit, he was like, you all have just gotten so used to it that you don't take action, that you don't do this and you don't do that. And so he had this particular even, which I thought it came from a good place. I also thought that it came from a point of judgment. Because like you said, it's not that we don't have the talent, and a lot of people think that Detroit is talentless. It's not that we're not educated. We could be more educated, but you have educated people here in Detroit, and millennials like myself, Steele, and Miles, and the whole panel, Chastity, but they never get a chance to see that because of the violence is just outshadowing the good. But when he told me that, I was just like, wow, how misinformed are you? You're right. It's the unity. We lack unity in Detroit. And I think that if we was to move forward, that's what we would have to do is create a form of unity. That's how you solve the economical issue. And that's how you solve a political issue. We just ran a campaign where suburban candidates did not knock in our city and still got votes in our city. I knock on the door and I get the police called on me. You know what I'm saying? So we have to really look at ourselves and really look in the heart of ourselves. I might disagree with Dre, but I'm not going to go against him in front of everybody. And we have to have that united front, okay? And we don't have that. And so we can say what we want, but until we change that unity, our violence will never end, okay? And our economic situations will never end.
I just want to add something quickly to that. If we don't do it for anybody, we have to do it for our kids. 67 babies got shot last year in St. Detroit. I don't even know the numbers for this year, but we have kids that's getting shot day in and day out. And so that should push the sense of urgency for unity. Nothing else. And gun violence is the second leading cause of death for men in the millennial range.
Well, first I want to make to your point, it's very important to talk about with viewers, we tell our own narrative. There's so much dope stuff that happens in the city that we never hear about because we depend on somebody else to tell our story for us. So that's a big part of, that's one of the root causes of gun violence in the city as well, is the violent culture that we have. We take pride in it, like almost, I'm from Detroit, we go out of town, like we wear it as like a badge of honor, and we carry ourselves like that. Out of town, it's the same exact way here. So I always make that point about the narrative, but back to the Shotspotter thing, one of the concerns in the community is that it's coming out of ARPA funds. And it costs about $8 million, right, still?
What is ARPA funds?
ARPA funds, American Rescue Plan Act dollars or something like that.
But what's the concept?
So it's a bunch of different things. It's geared towards better in the city in terms of neighborhood safety and all those different things. But one of the main things in the community, as I've been in meetings with, is that the police have the biggest budget in the city right now. And they still have about $32 million like left over. And they say this will be towards overtime or new hires and things like that. And the community is saying, why can't you just come out of the police budget? They have $32 million left. Costs roughly $8 million for Shotspotter. That is one of the biggest concerns too. The context of that is very, very important. Because if these dollars could go towards more of those wraparound services, why not do that and let Shotspotter come out of the police budget if they already have the funds anyways? So now trying to sway the conversation left to right, that is some of the concerns I've heard from the community as well as the privacy thing and stuff like that. So I wanted to interject that into it.
I want to build on something real quick. You mentioned concerns. Going back to the question you asked on people that are in the community, I spent the bulk of my Friday in the community talking to people in District 2. I live in District 2. So I talk to people in the 7 8 community I stay in. I spend time in 8th precinct, 6th precinct. And I'm neutral at this point. Anything that can stop gun violence, I'm with it. ARPA funds, there is money that has to be spent one time. It's not going to be something that's going to be reimbursed annually. So I see where the issue went on. I think Ms. Lyons mentioned it. It's not going to cost the city anything. We already have that money set aside. But I was shocked when I spoke to, don't give names, but people at the 8th precinct. Officers so I was really excited. We thought we had the officer coming. Officers in Detroit are drastically understaffed. And that's something that's not well known in the city of Detroit. Every precinct is understaffed. So what officers are nervous about, they understand the upside and the value this technology can provide. But what if they get, like the gentleman was saying right here, 16 shots in one day? They don't have the manpower to honestly be able to show up at 16 different locations and still have NPOs in neighborhoods, still have people at the precincts. So the issue that they can see is we can put all this money behind technology and then they will have to fall on the sword because they will not be able to adequately respond in a manner that can justify city councils. I won't say city council, but ARPA funds being used in the amount of $8 million. And the community had their part, and we talk about surveillance, like you said, you're not doing any crimes. Really, nothing to worry about. When we think about all of us have our phones out, that's surveillance, that's audio. Majority of the houses in our community have Ring cameras. That's surveillance, that's video, that's audio. If you live in certain communities with a high crime rate, you have a lot of green light initiatives. That's surveillance, that's video, that's audio. So the technology of watching us is already in our communities. So anybody that's just, turned off and touching their pearls because something of that sort, it's already there. All of our phones, we all agree without reading the privacy screens, every app on our phone can record what we're saying. Access our pictures, access our text messages. So if you really think about it, if you're a gamer, when you agree to certain terms with your PlayStation or Xbox, they're tracking and recording. So the idea of surveillance and privacy in society is gone. But the biggest issue that I foresee with Shotspotter is until we get the staffing of the police department up to snuff and at a substantial amount or an adequate amount, we will put so much stress on our police officers, which create more anxiety, even though them showing up. Because nobody calls 911, they won't show up. But if they get the alert, the positive, they may find a shell casing with a fingerprint. They may find somebody in that facility that matches the description, and that could be called profiling. But if somebody calls 911 and you're walking around with the face mask on, you are going to be profiled anyway. And that's something that exists. Or as a person that drives a car with tinted windows, profiling is part of their job to make them good. So I'm going to kind of wrap up there, but I just want to address that. And the biggest issue from the community is the funding, for what I've been able to hear, and surveillance. But I was kind of caught off guard when the officers, privately shared what makes them nervous about that new technology.
We got a comment from over here.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. My concern is, are we willing to give up our own civil liberties for a safe city? You mentioned the fact that we're being surveillanced already, but Big Brother is always watching us. But I wouldn't want Big Brother, keep tapping me on my shoulder. I'm undecided on this Shotspotter technology. I was just on the ACLU website, and there was 4 reasons why that Shotspotter technology is a bit questionable. Because there are some cases that there could be false alarms when it comes to this technology, and also it's also placement. Everything is placed in our community as a 80% black city. I understand crime is high. And I live in 4205, so I see it every day. There are pros and cons to this Shotspotter, but you have to look at both sides of the coin. You just can't look at it at one side of the coin. You know, you look at it at both sides. I've seen the pros of it, and I've seen the cons of it. So, if you want to check out the cons of it, I was just on ACLU's website, and it has 4 reasons why the Shotspotter technology is not a good thing.
If I could
Go ahead.
I just wanted to real quick chime in and just kind of say that I think that there could be more funds diverted to mental health. You know, because our first responders are short-handed across the board. You know, I think my concerns kind of stem from, yes, Detroit is 80% African American, but like my community is 68% African American. I think that if this kind of technology is instituted all over places where there are people of color, there could be more opportunities for this kind of profiling. And instead, you know, particularly in Harper Woods, we had a barricaded gunman one in July who shot like 4 people and took the whole entire household hostage. And then it happened again at the beginning of this month. So we've had 2 situations where this extreme gun violence at the hands of very young people of color, you know, it really begs the question of what are we doing to put funding towards mental health to be able to not only help, you know, the folks who are gonna have to de-escalate these situations, like our first responders, but then also to help the people to not even get to that point where you feel like you need to shoot up your whole household and then, you know, shoot out at the neighborhood and, you know, barricade yourself into this situation. So I think that's really one of the things about, you know, Shotspotter. It's like, okay, you could be diverting funds away from something that could be helping to, you know, get to the root of the problem. And, you know, the gentleman who talked about gun diversion programs, it's like we could be putting a lot of funding into those. But it's a tricky conundrum because I do support these kind of programs. If I think somebody said something about would you rather live in a safe community or give up civil liberties? I'm like, I'll pick safe. So.
Chastity, did you have something?
Yes, I was just actually going to comment on something that Dennis raised because I also read the ACLU article, and I know that one of the arguments made from the young man in the audience was that the technology is not going to misidentify what a gunshot is versus, you know, human error in a sketch. But I just want to, so the information is accurate, there has been a study done already by the City of Chicago Inspector General, and they did find that there were multiple false alarms because although there is technology that picks up these gunshots, those audios are sent to human analysts. And the human analyst decides whether or not they believe it's a gunshot, and then that triggers everything else. So again, I don't have an opinion because I need to do my own study, but just know that the information is accurate. There has already been a study done in Chicago by their Inspector General who found that there were multiple false alarms because it's just the audio that is picked up, but it is sent to a human analyst. So that does give way for human error in those situations as well.
I just want to say one thing before we get to anybody else. This is exactly why we should be out voting. If these are things that people are worried about, we need to encourage people to get out and vote for or vote against. We gotta got this concept of the same 70,000 people coming to make decisions for Detroiters. We can no longer keep doing this. This is why we are here. This room should be more filled to this. We're working on that. But at the end of the day, this is why we should be voting. And yeah.
I want to build this. Not only this is why we should be voting. This is why it's important to stay engaged after you vote.
Yes,
because we just had a 45-minute conversation. I think we touched everybody except the young person in the white back there. I think everybody shared an opinion about that. That's what civic engagement is supposed to be like. So once we vote, We all have different opinions, different thoughts, different ideas in order to curb what the problem is. But the important thing is on Tuesday, whether you're for it or against it, it's your right to let the people who we elected in and who we voted in hear your concerns, ask your questions. There's one thing to vote, but once you vote, like we were saying, people across Avon defeated a number of us in August. But now it's our responsibility to stay engaged and make sure that our voices, our communities, our precincts, ideas are lifted up, heard, addressed, and respected. So voting is one piece. But on Tuesday, whether you're for it or against it, call in. Show up in person at 9:30 in the morning. And allow them to hear your concern, because that's what makes them better at their job. That's what creates the change that we all want to see, is by holding them accountable. And know, look, I voted for you. I didn't vote for you. But I live in your community, and this is how I feel. And that's important to know how you feel. Make sure that residents, the very people who are in charge of your communities.
And I just wanted to add, because Stephen made a good point about the amount of police officers we have and them being stressed out about Shotspotters. Here's the thing too, we have to remember, our police officers don't make a lot of money. They don't start off making a lot of money. And I believe it was $19.
$26, yeah, $28,000.
They go up every year.
No, BPD is about 45,000, 40,000. The sheriff's department just got up to 40,000. That recruiting stuff is hard. Black folks do not want to go be in police. I've been in high schools. I've been recruiting for the last 5 years. That's it for myself. I'm walking to the school, they call me the ops. So we have to change the way we feel about police officers.
Right.
If we don't get police officers, get police officers hired.
That also goes to why, until what he just said happens, we have to research other avenues to help balance that out. This just isn't the end all to the situation, but we're minimally like 2,500 officers that we're supposed to have on the street. Like, that's the minimum of what we're supposed to have across our entire city. So all cops are stressed out, whether it's a Shotspotter issue or not. You're missing 2,500 other individuals that's supposed to help you do civil, to create the civil rest in the community. So they're all stressed.
But when we train them, 6 months later they go into another.
I was just about to say, so according to the police chief, we're losing an officer a day because of pay. And so for me, I'm gonna be honest with you, because I'm always gonna opt for people to better themselves first. I think that I would take the money for Shotspotters and apply it to their salaries. Because as a caseworker, it's absolutely deplorable that I have police officers, plural, on my caseload receiving welfare. That goes to show you exactly what you're dealing with some of our PD. And that's ridiculous. Like, you shouldn't have to worry about child care and food stamps and medical, and you're the warrior of our city. You keep the gates of our city,
So, Ms. Lewis, I'm gonna ask you, since you are a law enforcement person here, does it boil down to bring the residents requirements back?
It's gonna take everything. The problem is Detroit airports don't have a tax base like they used to.
Right.
That's what we should be trying to talk about. How do we grow our tax base so we get economics into the city, so we can close the crime gap, the wealth gap, and all of that other stuff. And then we have to take the perception how we feel about police officers. It's a block to this. You ain't gonna solve it in one day.
It all comes back to community though. It
It's
all
gonna be
goes back to community and connecting and having those conversations, because we wouldn't need the police as much. We had people on the block correcting kids before they even got to the point.
That's
where they
right.
had guns.
That's right.
And instead of, I'm not saying like that Shotspotter wouldn't work, but what about investing in resources so residents feel safe, so they, maybe like a doorbell or something, so that if, you know, if they want.
Everybody don't have doorbells.
You know, like one of those kind of programs, because, as a single mother, I love Detroit, but I did not feel safe. I did not feel safe with my daughter catching the bus, and so that's why when I got a full ride and I could pick wherever I wanted to stay, I moved to Ann Arbor, but it wasn't because I didn't care about my city, and that's why I'm still here. I just came from Ann Arbor, and I do a lot of work in the city because I want to see change, but at the same time, you gotta take care of yourself first, and a lot of people feel like that, and so I understand why officers may, you know, go because they're doing what's best for them, but at the same time, how do we build integrity within our city is what we need to be asking, and how do we provide resources so that people feel supported? Because a lot of people don't feel supported, and that's why they don't care, and that's why they don't care about dying, and that's why they don't care about the next person, because they feel like don't nobody care about them. And we can't just tell people, get out and vote when their basic needs are not met, and if we're not having those conversations to even inquire, they're not gonna go and tell you because they already feel like nobody care about it.
So I'm gonna ask this question, and I want everybody to think about it for a second while I go to him. So it almost sounds like she's saying we've abandoned the whole village mentality, the community mentality. So let's ponder on how we can get back to that real quick. But I'm feeling like that. Then we're gonna come back on it.
Yes, remember, about a month or so ago, Dan Gilbert received a $60 million tax abatement. 60, a 6-0 tax abatement.
It was actually 62.
Okay, 62.
But you're good, you're close.
I didn't add the 2, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What can 60 million, 62 million
62 is all the same. A lot of money.
would do for when it comes, when it comes to like what you mentioned, mental health, gun violence programs, Shotspotter is not the end all be all when it comes to gun violence. It's only a deterrent. But that money, that $8 million, that could go into mental health programs and hiring more police officers. So, I mean, that's
again, we don't have the community that's even had the aptitude to want to be police officers, and then the ones that do want to be police officers are poached 2 to 3 weeks out of the academy. So it still leaves us with a deficit as it pertains to putting adequate and well-trained individuals in our community. For one, it's not about putting more police in the community to feel safe. It's about putting more resources into the community to be safe. If his motivation for breaking and entering is because he's hungry and he's got kids and he want to smoke, so he know when she go to work, I'm going in her window so I can take some stuff to go pawn it, to buy food, to buy a sack of weed. If I come to you now from the community perspective, hey man, we got a neighborhood association, or we got a block club, we partner with Gleaners, I got food, I got non-perishables and hot food that I can provide for you and your family to get you to, Friday. Because there's no place where working class people can go and get resources besides a nonprofit like mine called Seed Now, where you don't have to be, giving your firstborn or being on any type of assistance. You just need to be hungry, need some clothes, and need resources. That's all you need. Because where can working class people go on Tuesday to get them to Friday? I just need some bread and some peanut butter and jelly and make a couple sandwiches real quick to get me to payday. You know what I'm saying? I don't need a lot of help, but I do need some help. Everybody in this room remember the person that held the back of your seat when you was learning how to ride a bike. Mine's was Uncle Mike. Because you don't want to fall, so you know who was back there holding that freaking seat for you. That's all we're doing is holding the seat for folks. You still got to pedal. That's what I'm telling folks. I'm holding the seat, but bro, you still got to steer and pedal. That's what we have to do and provide that for folks in the community. We don't have that anymore. The community is non-existent. So now it goes back, as I said before, to the neighborhood associations, to the nonprofits, to the block clubs. So it's about organizing with your DOMs. If you don't have a block club, then register your block club through the city of Detroit. And then start to create you some type of structure, because there's tons of resources from the philanthropic community, from the federal, from the state, from the city, but you have to be organized as a community first and foremost. They're not gonna say that to you. I was an at-large rep, so I went across the city. I averaged 2 to 3 community meetings a night while I was working with Janae Ayers before COVID. He can validate that. Some of y'all know me from being in the community on her Steadfast, and I saw the difference between a community meeting in East English Village and one in Brightmore. Completely different. I go in East English Village, I'm tolerated. What are you doing here? We actually don't even want you here. If we need something, we got your information. Brightmore, completely different. What do you got for us? Are y'all bringing food? What information? They're hungry for resources. It's just the difference. East English Village is all corporate execs, attorneys, things of that nature, doctors. They know what to do. They're getting this stuff done themselves. They're doing fundraisers themselves, getting their sidewalks fixed themselves, contracting forestry themselves. So it's about that. I go into the community and teach them what I'm learning from the other communities. Do y'all know who buys the most properties from the land bank? Grandma Community 1. Wow. Buy more properties from anybody from the land bank. Grandma 1 does. And don't get that one misconfused with the other parts of that. You better say Grandma 1 and they're gonna shout you out of the room. But they buy more properties than any other entity from the land bank. That's a neighborhood association. Do y'all understand that? That's a 501c3 where our residents is Councilman Tate's district. Everybody can do that in their own district. It's about you understanding the process and knowing how to implement it and getting organized. I got tired of talking about this to folks, so I did it. I'm the vice president of the Optimist Neighborhood Association. They're partnering with the C3C now, and we take care of that 10-block boundary over there. East Outer Drive to Hoover, 6 Mile to East State Fair. And we have projects going over there, huge and robust projects. It's going to create a sustainable ecosystem for that area and bring in revenues. But this is from piggybacking and taking an inventory from what other communities are doing as I speak right now. Meeting, active. It's just about us having a dialogue, having these type of forums to share, because metal sharpens metal. So I'm coming in here to sharpen y'all up with the resources that I have and the information that I have that we're actually doing. I'm not prophesying, I'm not speculating. The stuff that I'm telling you are things that I'm currently doing right now that have been done and are currently being done. And it works. I can point to it. Y'all can come in our neighborhood and see it. So if it's working in 3, 4, and 05, I know that it's going to work in other communities as well. But it's about being out here and inspiring people, planting the seed. You got to make the folks in the community care. They don't care about who you want to vote for because you haven't had any dialogue with them to meet them on the day-to-day. I'm not thinking about what you're talking about on my door, man. I got a red DTE slip in the house right now. I have 3 kids in the back that are hungry right now. Meet me on that before you want me to go vote for you. You know what I'm saying? And stop showing up on voting season. I need you out here year-round because we got year-round work that needs to get done. That's first and foremost, consistency. We act as if we're not from Detroit and we don't know what's on the other side of that door. Let's be real. Wake up, panel, and build to spec. You know what you're dealing with. So you better come swole up when you come in at the door. Those basic talking points don't work. You can't serve anything counterfeit to Detroiters. We carry that level of grit. We talk about that, but that's also part of how we are. We're going to talk tough. We loud. We passionate. So understand that that's what you're dealing with. If your feelings is hurt, you're in the wrong business talking about politics and doing community work in the city of Detroit. You got to come tough skinned, and you got to be able to deliver it right back to them with sound conversation. You know, again, they shout me down because I'm the one in the meeting saying, what's the resolve? I'm sick and tired of going to meetings and we're consistently voting things down that are presented up in council, but not coming with a resolve. I heard all the stories about State Fair and Amazon. Cool. Then where's Magic Johnson with this proposal? We can't shoot this down. That's $1,500 in income tax that's coming to our city tax base. The mayor, from an administrative perspective, I need that $1,500. Y'all understand? We lost $320 million in revenues off rip because of COVID. Off rip, casinos, parking. We lost that as a city. We're depressed for revenues and partners right now. So you got a major court coming in. That's $1,500. We gonna get into the semantics about who's the $1,500. Are they suburbanites or Detroiters? The mayor don't care. I need that $1,500 tax base coming to the city. He's doing his job. I need that. If we don't have that, we have nothing. You just said we gotta get the tax base going. So we gotta bring folks in here. But at the same time, we gotta work and educate the folks in the community and say, hey, you could be a part of this. You could be a part of this on Amazon. You could be a part of what's going on downtown. Gentrification, that's for us. Community, swell your people up so they can take a part of what's going on downtown. I work downtown. We not downtown. And it's not because they say you can't come downtown. It's because we don't want to go downtown. I just talked to all my people in the industry. Nobody's going to the auto show. They get all the glitz and glamour. The hood showed up for the black tie event. But no one's taking their kids down there to actually patronize to spend any money. It's the materialistic aspect of being in Detroit. Y'all know how we roll. We want to be seen. We want to wear all our colors and our gators and that kind of stuff. But we're not supporting nothing for real. And it's not because the resources aren't there. They are there for everybody to take a part of. And I'm there. I'm not seeing them push anybody away. If you know what you know, you're able to be in the room, you're going to be in the room. So take advantage. Go down and ride the Q line. Get on the scooter and see what your city has to offer. Detroit looks like a snack right now. Take advantage of that. I'm loving it. It does. I mean, I'm class in 98. Cass Tech was full of prostitutes and crackheads on Cass Ave. You go on Cass Ave now, there's white people walking dogs, there's dog parks, there's all kind of cool stuff to eat and stuff to do. It wasn't like that 20 years ago. I was graduating high school. Who don't want to be a part of that? That shit like living in the Sims game every time you come outside. To me, that's dope. I'm excited about that because I'm in a position where I can take advantage of that. But guess what? I'm also showing the folks in my hood, hey, yo, come down and watch the tree lighting. Or if you want to do the traffic, come the next day. The tree gonna be lit the next day. You can see it the next day. But come down and take advantage of what your city has.
But see, But see, while we tell our people, come on downtown, our people don't feel welcome downtown.
I feel
like at the end of the day, there is a gigantic disconnect. Like our people don't feel comfortable down there. I mean, I've heard a sergeant tell me, secondary employment is offered downtown. So when our officers are done with the neighborhoods, they're like, yeah, I'm going downtown. Like I can walk around, I can have a good time while I'm making some money. It's just, when you think about our neighborhoods, like when they're staying here, they get dogged. Like people don't want to talk to them. Nobody want to talk to the police. Everybody treat the police a certain way. So the police like, hey, I'm going downtown. I feel like I'm making some money, but I would just go downtown and walk and enjoy myself. So I think that we have to. I agree with you. We have to look at our people that are invested in the neighborhoods. Like y'all, we have events and we say, okay, come to this event. That's not enough. That's not enough. We need to hold their hand. I know everybody feel like they're so busy and everybody has so much going on. They need you to hold your hand because we don't have the same concerns that they have. Right. And like we forget that. I just wanted to point that out.
Jerome, let me ask you a question.
And our white counterparts who grew up with us, they not afraid of us. So they come back and they moving in their grandmama house from the white flight. They like, man, that's Grandma Julie's house, man, over there with all that good rich structure. I'm moving back in the hood. I'm starting to see that in my area. We bought our house from a white person back in '92. Now I'm starting to see that second generation of the kids that went to They not afraid of being in an urban community. They think it's cool, and they wearing Jordans and Pumas and all that kind of stuff, cocking their hats and raising their kids in that, and they're back in our community. So how are we not taking advantage of our community?
Here's the thing, and I'm listening to this very
Hold on,
closely.
we got to wrap up soon. We're going to go to you. Miles. I think there might be a bit. Real quick, you want to put there?
No, I went to Bishop Gallery.
I was just about to say, man, you can't talk no more.
So listen, here's the whole the thing that I see, and when I'm talking to Black community versus the Caucasian community. What I found with Caucasian moving back into the city of Detroit, they're loving it, of course. You know, they're coming into the neighborhoods, they're building, resources are being put up to accommodate them. Let's be clear. We may be able to enjoy it, like you're stating, but it is not geared toward us. We have to really take a real look at the real reason. Resources. Okay? We talking about, my mother lives on Glen Court. She's been over there 40 years. I went through her neighborhood and she off of Linwood and Lawn. I saw a little, cute white girl running with a dog. Went down to Boston, Edison, Historic District, Atkinson, West Chicago, all up in here. It is beautiful. But how did it get like that? This is a 30-year plan. We gotta really get to the root of why things are the way they are. Not just because, things are changing and it's affordable for all of us. No, it's not. It's not affordable for everybody. All the shows they want us to come down to, that's not affordable for those who like to feed their children. Let's be clear. Things are accessible, but to who? Those who can afford it. That separates them from us, the have and the have-nots. Let's be clear. Yes, our neighborhoods are coming back up, but for who? Ain't for us. Because affordability means you need to bring better paying jobs back to the city of Detroit. You need to open up the schools again in the city of Detroit so our young Black men and women and young children who are going to these charter schools being bused at 6:30 in the morning, and you got parents who got to try to go to job number 3, they just left job number 1 and 2. Now they got to try to rely on the 8-year-old to get the 1-year-old up and fed. It's a lot of dynamics. So when we look around our communities and we say, well, why are we involved? We can't afford it anymore. Our people are starving out here in the streets. And we're watching it come up like Silicon Valley, and we are not involved in it. Okay? Now, we can try to be inclusive in as much as we can. But let's be clear. A lot of my counterparts who are younger than me, y'all can afford that shit. I can't. Not because I'm not working hard and trying to start a business and doing all the things that I know how to do to get to that level. The more that people like myself and older in my age range, we're being pushed out. And that's not fair. And my younger counterparts are sitting around smiling, yeah, look what we got. On the backs of who though? So we have to recognize there's a root cause to why you're able to get what you're getting. You can't push us away like we didn't exist, because if it hadn't been for our hard work and our fighting and our protests and us going out there being shot dead in the streets and all the people behind me and the people before me, y'all wouldn't be able to enjoy the shit you're enjoying. So don't take that, this is because we did it. No, it's not. Recognize the game. The game is Miracle Young built this city for Black people. And Black people gave it away. So now we have to sit around trying to figure out where we fit in. We give treatments to those who will take it and be cool with it, but selling out your neighborhoods for those who are still there. The 400,000, the 470,000 people that stayed in Detroit before Detroit came on its come up, why didn't they get some reparation? Why when I go through my neighborhoods, I go through blocks where I grew up in Grand Street and used to run up the alley at night, nobody bothered me. I go through and I look like Beirut up in here. So, what was the reason why the 400,000 didn't get the first choice of everything? We kept this city going when everybody else left. It was my mother, grandmother, uncles, and aunts that kept this damn city running when everybody else decided to leave. So that when people talk about the come up and you can do, no, we can't afford it. It's not that we're not trying.
It's not that we don't want to afford it. Make it affordable. I'm talking about you want to buy a house, you want to charge me $699,000 to live in Woodbridge? Come on. Who's affordable with that too? I ain't talking about a multi-millionaire. I plan on being one day, but I still don't want this. I got to think about people who in neighborhoods who want to stay in neighborhoods. Taxes going up. So where I got to go now? My taxes is up. My taxes used to be $1,900 a year. Now it's $2,300 a year. Some people paying $3,000 per year in taxes in neighborhoods that only have 2 or 3 houses on the block. We have to really start digging. When we talk about digging and figuring out how we want to help our neighborhoods grow, how we want to get the resources, and how we want to do all these things we want to see done, let's get to the root cause of the problem first.
And it's education.
And it's education.
Hold on. We got room for 2 more comments, and we got to vote. The WC3 gonna kick us out again.
I just want to add just a lot of this discussion is a real great discussion that we're having here. One of the things that touched my heart was that, Drake can attest to this as well. We worked with Councilman McAllister, and that Amazon spot was one of the things that was held over his head when people decided not to vote for him again. So we're here, we're carrying on his legacy for a person who fought for the city too.
Yes, sir.
And when he lost his election, we lost our jobs. And
you was there with us.
You was there with us. So it's like.
And look at what we got now.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. The point I make is this: is that a lot of times when we were making those moves to help the community, making those moves to make sure people were in position to live a better life, it somehow got turned on us, and then we were the villains.
Yep.
And running this race over the summer, I dealt with it again because I had a conversation with somebody at the polls who said, I didn't see you at my door over the summer. And I told them, as eloquent as I could, you didn't see my opponent either. But you didn't go in and vote for somebody. A lot of people voted for people sight unseen. And now this is what we get. The point I want to drive home to everybody is that I think this ties every conversation up real well. It doesn't matter who you vote for. It doesn't matter that you vote. Because there's a conversation I had with, that I won't reveal who I spoke with, but just know this. The area that I ran for state rep in was left uncovered. And I was fighting by myself as the only Detroiter in that race.
And I'm pissed about it. And it's my duty to make sure there's going to be a person of color in that district. I did it for Donovan. He's the very next district to mine. My district stops at Hoover. His district started at Hoover. And there's no reason, and no knock on the Lord, there's no reason that white women should be representing Osborne and Denton.
Absolutely.
And there's no reason if that woman should have won and she didn't have common courtesy, respect, or decency to knock on any doors in the city of Detroit.
Not one.
That's just flat out disrespect.
And
because she's for one, because they told her don't come. Because they know where she at. She gotta go walk on 7 in Gratiot, where my guys at, on Tether. That's why she didn't walk over there. That's why you should have won, because we can walk over there and mobilize those folks. Donovan and I did it. We knocked cross county. We won Detroit, Warren, and Centerline. Warren and Centerline has never been won by a person of melanated descent. We walked over there bringing a message of unity, and every person that I talked to, you was white, I was white. You was purple, I was purple. You was green, I was green. You was a dog, I was a dog. You was a cat, I was a cat. When I left you, you was like, I rock with these cats. And it showed on the votes. Detroit already has. We had to go work out there. And that's what I told Cats. Cats told me, don't go out there, double down in Detroit. The numbers is in Detroit. Pause on that. You gotta go knock doors out there and introduce yourself to those people. I understand I'm from the D, but understand we got a new district, we gotta work together. I'm coming to introduce myself to you. What are some of the issues? I can't support you because you a them. But guess what? When we win, I still represent you, and what you care about is important to me, and I can't do my job effectively if I don't talk to each and every one of you. Period. And they respect that. These were people who handed me my lip back and gave it back to me. And asked for it back 3 to 5 minutes into the conversation. But I had to put myself in that position. Man pull a shotgun on Donovan in the trailer park. We got 9 trailer parks in that district. 7. 6 in the morning, dude got a shotgun in Donovan's chest. 5 minutes later, crying in Donovan's arm, and Donovan's consoling this guy. My mind is blown at 6:30 in the morning, and we're witnessing this. But that's what we're dealing with. F-biting messages on these people's lawns and stapled on their roofs. That's what we dealt with, and we won. So it can happen. I got game for you, because you shouldn't have lost, and you shouldn't have lost. So we need to kick it. You know I take it personal with you, because we come from the same line. So I'm definitely with you next year for real when you look at the running game.
Just again, piggybacking off what Jerome just said, I want the energy that we take from this room today to be one that, okay, we're going to be the remnant that starts the movement. We're going to be the remnant that gets our community unified. It's going to get our community engaged. Because, again, engagement is the problem. They're not coming, they don't want to know what you know. They don't know if you care yet. How can they want to know what you know if they don't know if you even care about it? You know, the reason why this organization was put together is because somebody cared. We're here today because somebody cared 3-4 years ago to see young leaders get what they needed to go and take the world by storm. But the piece of that puzzle was that you had young leaders that not only want to take the world by storm, but understood the assignment that they had to serve. It's not just showing up on a flyer. It's not just showing up on a billboard. It's leading. It's actually being a person who serves at the highest level, because that's what we've all been called to do. Our neighborhoods require it. Yeah, we're gonna have to sit. We're gonna sit these next couple of years. We're not gonna just sit still and just let stuff happen. We're gonna be engaged still, because 24 is coming, and 24 is gonna be a whole new day for everybody. And so the point I want to drive home is that I want everybody that was here today to understand that this is a labor of love that you connected to. We are here because we care about seeing our communities thrive and seeing our communities win. You know, I'm standing on the shoulders of my parents and my grandparents. You know, I actually had my village. I lived in a neighborhood where my grandfather lived across the street, and the neighbors who were surrounding us helped watch my mother's process of growth when she grew up. I moved back to my mother's neighborhood. And so I understood what it felt like to have a village. I understood what it felt like if I got out of line and my grandfather missed it, Mr. McCray was going to tell my mother and tell my father. And I didn't want to deal with that. I knew what it felt like to if I had a need, that somebody would have they had our back. And vice versa, we had their back too. It only works when it's in reciprocity. It's one thing to go out here and have somebody for somebody to have your back, but can they trust you to have their back as well? And I think that's the thing I wanted to just drive home again, like with everything we talked about. It's about us having each other's backs, because we can't win without each other, and that's just it.
So, I'm so glad we were able to do this again. I got time for one more comment. 2 minutes. Not 5, 2. 2, not 5, 2. So I'm going to pass it to the brother up top with the red shirt on.
Mr. Robert Olive of Righteous Sons Organization, everybody.
How y'all doing? Most definitely want to agree with you about the village, right? Not trying to just put Righteous Sons on put a plug for Righteous Sons, but our
feel like a thought was just stolen from me because that's exactly what I was just about to say.
I just want to I'll be real brief. I'm not a person that believes in titles and means and all that kind of stuff, but you just said something that sparked my interest. I'll pump the Dre about afterwards. I'm going to be the district manager of District 1. I'm on the deputy now. Be the district manager come January. And one of the things that I really want to focus on is exactly what you said. You know, when Dre and Councilman McAllister and Dre and Miles created the Millennial Roundtable, it was 2019, and it was unique because I come from communities where we work in silos. We don't really share or break bread together. But one thing that I'm committed to in District 1 and District 2, because I live there, is I want to believe and get as many community leaders, community activists. I love what you were talking about, because I think the missing piece of the gangs being involved with the political power, with the community, with the educated folks. The gangs was missing. But one thing I would say is in District 1 and District 2, I am firmly committed to bringing these type of conversations together where we don't need 100 people in a room. We need 20. But those 20 control about 1,000 people throughout the city of Detroit, and even more power when it comes to the lantern. That's what we're missing, is that because that's what Coleman Young had. He had a circle of people where you don't gotta be loud. I'm gonna call 10 people into a room. Those 10 people could inspire and educate 20,000 people. That's right. And that's the piece that I think we could take the blueprint in District 1. But I think we have all the tools in place. We have all the people around where we can start small, and then you look forward in 2 years and 4 years, we're able to influence elections. Whether it's a judge, representative, or a senator, or a council person, or a precinct delegate. But it has to start with like-minded individuals who aren't looking for clout, who aren't looking for attention, coming together and having honest dialogue about how we get influence and control, not word control, but influence the people who look at us as leaders and start that spark. We could still, it's cool to be in silos, but at least ahead of these silos and start coming together in order to control and lead a unified front in our individual silos throughout the city of Detroit.
Absolutely.
I want to close with saying several things. Again, let's not leave here and act like we didn't just have this conversation. Next month, we should bring more people with us. Next month, we will be having candidates here, and this is your opportunity to share your grievances or ask them any question that you want to ask. Secondly, we build something here. It's time for us to take this outside and just meeting in these rooms and start getting in these streets. Everybody needs to be involved. I don't care what organization you come from, we all should be aligned together. As you just stated, there's too many of us doing things separately and not doing things as one. If you go across the 8 Mile, it don't look like that over there. They're united. They're together. No matter what it is, they're together. It's time for us to get back as one. So again, let's not leave here today and just forget this didn't just happen. With that being said, thank you all for coming this month. We get to leave